But but I wanted to respect your guys' time. Let's get started. And this class is going to be very kind of open discussion. I feel like I learn the best when I ask questions. So I'm going to encourage you guys to really ask questions, interrupt me when when you guys have questions come up, so we can kind of go over those. And it'll be kind of open forum. I don't really have like a exact way I want to go with this. I know I've been in the business for 10 years, so I know what works for me. And I've been in Ignite. I've probably gone through the program 3 or 4 times, just as a student. And then I've also taught a couple of Ignite classes. But it's been about 5 years since I've taught an Ignite class. So I'm kind of excited to get back into it and teach again. And hopefully you guys take away a couple of good nuggets that you can apply to your business, and I can learn from you guys too. So if you guys have any input or anything like that, please feel free to jump in and let me know. But anyways, a little bit about me. I've been in the business for 10 years. I consider myself still a new agent because I'm constantly learning new things. And I feel like if you put yourself in a learning mindset and know that there's so much about real estate to learn, that you just try not to get too cocky in the business and understand that you're going to always be learning new things. And 10 years in the business, and I still am learning new things all the time. So I got in the business when I was 23 years old, and I love that I'm hosting the open house class because this still to this day is the bread and butter of my business. So I excited to kind of teach this subject. I actually haven't taught the open house class in Ignite before. I've taught a couple of different other classes, but this is a new one. So I'm excited because this one actually is one of my favorite subjects, because this is how I brought all the business to what I've built up. So also, real estate is about getting out of your comfort zone. So I would encourage you, I don't care if you're in your pajamas, I don't care if you're in your workout clothes from this morning, if you can turn on your cameras, be involved, get out of your comfort zone, ask the hard questions. That's going to bring you the best value. If you can, I know we all have personal lives. We're probably cooking dinner. We might be doing stuff for our families. But if you can invest an hour into your time, you're going to pull some good nuggets out of this class. So feel free to turn your cameras on and participate as much as possible, because that's where you're going to get the most value out of this. And write lots of notes. So anyways, little bit about me. 10 years in the business. I started with open houses. So I actually joined Keller Williams after I'd been in the business for a year. And I went to family reunion my first year into real estate, and attended a class by Chris Suarez and Ben Kinney. And they actually taught, I believe the class was called Blow the Roof Off Your Open House. And it was super insightful. Chris Suarez went over how he moved to, I believe it was Seattle, Washington, and had he had like no money to him, living out of his car, joined real estate, and decided that he was going to give himself no outs, and built his business off of open houses. So my open house strategy follows his pretty much to the T. Just implemented all the things that he taught in that class, and it was super insightful, and it works. So he went over, first of all, an open house is the actual open house itself is probably the least eventful part of what an open house should be if you do it correctly. So I consider the fruitful part of an open house being everything that you do before, all the pre-planning and all the work that you do before. If you can make sure that your systems are intact and all of your lead gen is done before the open house, then even if nobody shows up to that open house, it was still super worthwhile. So I'm going to go over kind of my pre-planning to an open house and all of that stuff, and then we're going to go over it start to finish. Anyways, so he goes over, Chris Suarez says, preparing for an open house starts with all of your lead gen activities in, and he says social media, so blasting everything out. When I'm hosting an open house, wherever it is, I always try to join the Facebook page, forums for that area. So if it's in West Jordan, I'm getting on the West Jordan, I'm joining the West Jordan forums and all of that, and I'm sharing the open house to all of those. So there's multiple pages. There's a Utah flea market page that I share the open house to. So you should be sharing those to as many of those type of pages, as well as your own social media pages as well. And that's just to get in front of your database. So, and to feed people into that open house. So that's one of the things that I do as far as social media goes. The next thing that I also do is I have a standard of 100 homes that I door knock. Door knocking super beneficial when you're hosting an open house. It gets you in front of the neighbors in the neighborhood. And I have a flyer that usually has information about the home. I try to include a QR code that they can scan and get all the other information that flyer might not include. And when the neighbors, so I like to door knock, if we're doing a Saturday open house, I like to door knock on a Friday night, inviting all the neighbors to the open house. My script basically goes, they open the door and I say, hi, I actually just put a home on the market right around the corner from yours, and I'm knocking on your door just to invite you over to the open house. It's a good opportunity to see what's going on in your neighborhood. And by the way, it's a great time to pick your neighbor. Who do you know looking to make a move that I can tell about this house? So the reason I form the question like that instead of a yes or no question is it causes them to think, right? So if we form our questions in who do you know instead of do you know anyone looking to make a move? If you ask it, do you know anyone looking to make a move? The answer usually is no, and it's a quick no. So if you ask who do you know looking to make a move, it causes them to think, because now this is not an easy yes or no question. They have to think about it first before they answer. So that's a good nugget that I got from Chris Suarez. And another, so if usually they, think about it, oh, I can't think of anyone right now, or maybe they'll say, hey, like my cousin's looking, or whatever that is. At that point, get as much information as you can from them. Hey, I'd love to reach out to them and let them know about this open house. Can I grab their number? Can you do a small introduction? Get us into a group text, something like that. If they give you nobody, I can't think of anyone right now. Hey, well, take my flyer to work. Tell your coworkers about it. Take it to church. Tell the people that you know about it. It'd be a great time to pick your neighbor, and I'd love to put, somebody good in this home that's a good friend or somebody that you know. So keep an eye out. Also, pop by our open house on Saturday. I'd love to show you around and see, so you can see what homes are going for in your neighborhood. I end it by saying, by the way, when's the next time you plan to make a move? And so then I'm asking them, are they planning on making a move? Sometimes they say, oh, I'm staying here for the long term. If they say, hey, we're outgrowing this house. We'll probably make a move in the next year. Just so my next response is, just so you know, I offer a free valuation, no strings attached. I just come in, take a good look at your home, see how it compares to the homes that have sold around the neighborhood, and give you a pinpoint valuation on your home. No commitments attached, just a good way for you to have a knowledge on where you'd be sitting if you made a move today. So that's it's a value add to them. They see it as, I'm being helpful. I'm the market professional that they know and can trust. And I'm obviously doing business in their neighborhood. So they know that I'm working in the market. So door knocking's huge. You'll get really good leads from that. Often I'll get neighbors, hey, you stopped in, or you knocked on my door. I saw your flyer and I wanted to come in and take a look. So that is a really good way to create leads before the open house. Next thing I do is actually this is before I go door knocking, I'm making phone calls. So I pull a list. I usually try to at least get 100 phone numbers, if not more. I try to get 100 to 200 phone numbers and make phone calls around. So script is almost the same as me door knocking. And usually I'm trying to call in the hours that people are home from work. But I've learned that my own willpower is the strongest in the morning. So if I know that, I'm going to have a busy day in real estate, I want to put, this is the most important, right? Lead gen is our bread and butter to our business. So this is the most important thing. The cold calling is what's going to bring me more business. So if I know that my willpower at the end of the day is going to be very low, then I'm going to make sure that I make those phone calls at the beginning of the day. Even though my answering rate might be a little lower, I know that my actions are going to be more valuable at the beginning of the day. So make sure to be conscious of when you're going to be most productive as well. Any questions so far? I know I'm kind of like rambling on, and I don't want to make it feel like I'm just talking the whole time. So please jump in, interrupt me. Anybody have any questions yet? Cool. Okay. Well, I usually like to create a open house plan that I want to nail down my open house, usually Wednesday, if it's going to be a Saturday, and I want so I can do the actions that produce a fruitful open house, right? So I'm not looking for open houses on Friday so I can host on Saturday. I'm looking for them at the beginning of the week, at the latest on a Wednesday. So if you want to be, if you want to get the most out of your open houses, make sure that you're nailing those down as far or as soon as advanced as you can. How many door knockings do you usually do? So I print out, at the bare minimum, I print out 50 flyers, and I don't stop until they're all gone. My goal is usually 100, and it depends on what neighborhood you're going through. Like if you're going through a townhouse neighborhood, then I mean 50 or 100 is super easy to get through because they're all super close. If you're in like a single family neighborhood and the homes are a little spaced out, then 50 is a little bit easier to manage. But it only takes me to, even like single family neighborhoods, it takes me about an hour to get through 50 homes. So it's not a huge dedication to your time. But yeah, it's usually about 50 homes that I try to, at the bare minimum, meet. Let's see. as far as the preparation before, that's basically as much as I do. So social media, door knocking, and cold calling. Oh, I did want to go over, where do I get my phone number list? That's usually a big question for new agents, is how do I get phone numbers to cold call? Real Advantage is our preferred title company in our building. They have great resources on how to get phone numbers and addresses for specific neighborhoods. So if you haven't yet, talk to Marcel and he will go over how to get phone numbers. Super easy, super cheap. You can get 300 phone numbers for like $5. It's not a huge investment and it definitely pays off. So that's the best way to get phone numbers that I've found. And they come with addresses and names. You can even get as specific as people that are homeowners versus investors. You can get really specific on the list. So I highly recommend, if you haven't yet, get a hold of Marcel and he can go over how to get that information out of his cool database, or whatever you want to call it. So then the morning of the open.
Wait, 1 second. We do have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
How many doors do you knock before open house?
So I usually do about 50 doors. If it's a neighbor, I try to get to 100 doors. If it's like a townhouse neighborhood, I'm definitely doing 100, but sometimes the single family ones I'm doing about 50. So just depends on how much time I've blocked out. I usually try to block out an hour to hour and a half for door knocking, and I usually can get in the single family homes. I usually can get 50 doors in an hour. Yeah, good questions. So morning of the open house, I'm sending out another reminder to all of my social media, all of the neighborhood Facebook pages, yard sale pages. Sometimes they hate me, but I don't care. So if they're going to block me, they can block me. But I go back and ask to be a part of the group again. They forget about me after a while. So anyways, I'm not afraid of hurting people's feelings. If they I feel like the neighborhood Facebook, it's what's going on in their neighborhood. So it's adding value to them. And if the admins don't see that, then that's fine. They don't have to. But anyways, so I'm a little bit of a rule breaker in that way. But so morning of the open house, I am also blasting out that on social media. I try to get, so I have open house signs. I have about 20 open house signs that are all directional. I like to set up my open houses just like the builders set up their model homes. So you'll see when you're going to a model home, every 10 to 15 to 20 feet, you see model home, model home, model home. You know, you go over to the Ivories, they've got flags, they've got all of the advertisements, so you don't miss it. That's exactly how I set up my open houses. So my directional signs, I usually have on the busier roads, I have 3 signs that are all pointing in the same direction on the same side of the road. And so, you know, they're going to pass 3 different signs that say open house pointing it down the same exact street. And that's on both sides of the road. And I try to do that all the way to the house. So, and then when you get to the house, I have a huge A-frame. It's super heavy, but it's a big A-frame that says open house. I usually try to put that either in the driveway, or if the road permits, like if there's enough way for the cars to get around, I actually put it in the road. So that drives in lots of traffic of people that are just kind of driving around that haven't heard about the open house. And I get a lot of traffic because of that and because of how many signs I put out. So if you have the ability or know an agent that has open house signs, borrow those. If you are a brand new agent and don't have the funds to go get signs made, then find an agent that has signs. You can always borrow mine, especially if you're hosting my own open houses. I would love it if you borrowed mine. They don't have my number on them. They just have my company name on them, which nobody really cares. And they just have an arrow on them. So super simple. But another little nugget that I got is when I invested in signs my first go around, I bought the H frames that have to like go into grass. So they like stick into grass. And what I found out is there's lots of park strips that are either rocks or cement, or even on the busy roads, there's not even a grass option. And so I was limiting myself to where I could put my signs. So I actually did invest a little bit more money. It was a little bit more expensive, but I got the A-frame ones that are metal and they open up, so I can literally set them out wherever my open house is. It doesn't limit me to soft ground. So that's a little nugget that I learned further on in the business. So I set out those open house signs an hour before my open house. I want open house signs to be out. If my open house starts at 11, I want my signs completely set out by 10 o'clock. And I usually put a sign on the door. It's just a handwritten sign that I make, and I say open at 11. So if people do follow those signs and get there at 10:30 and realize I'm not there, they know that it starts at 11. So get those out an hour before. And then during the open house. So I did say, I feel like the open house, my personal opinion is the open house is the least important part of doing open houses. And when I'm sitting in an open house, first of all, it only takes one person to walk through to make it a really good open house. So if one person walks through, now it's a killer open house because you now have one lead. That is the low hanging fruit of the business. When you talk about, I want somebody ready and looking in the market, you don't get anywhere close to that than hosting an open house and a buyer walks through. So if you only get, a lot of people are like, oh, I only got one person, like that's a killer open house in my eyes. You've got one lead now that you can work with. So I'll tell you in a little bit like how my conversation goes with when the lead walks through. But while I'm sitting in the open house, I want to put, I'm sitting in an open house, but I also want another line in the pond, if you want to use that analogy. So I also have, as I'm doing that, I'm taking a video of the home. And if you don't have like a video editor, the one that I use is called, let's see, what is it called? Splice. So I'm taking short videos. So I'll take a span of the living room and then stop the video. I'll take a span of the dining room and so on and so forth. And then I use Splice to upload all of those videos, get transitions into there, and I get the transitions into there and kind of load those in. And as I'm doing that, I'm posting that on my social media as well, so people have a full walkthrough. I only post that to my database because now I've kind of bombarded all of the Facebook yard sale forums, so I'm not putting it on there, but I am putting it on my own Facebook page so my database sees that I'm actively in business. So that's super helpful. Another thing that I'm doing is if I hadn't gotten through all of my phone calls for the open house, I am now cold calling while I'm sitting in the open house. If somebody walks in, it's super easy to acknowledge the person that walks in. Your phone call conversations usually aren't super long. Finish up the phone call conversation, you can get to the person that walked through the door. So putting two reels in the pond at the same time is going to maximize your time at the open house. And that's kind of how I do that. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's talk about when somebody walks through the open house, how do I approach them? This is strictly from Chris Suarez. This is how he handles it. So first of all, I feel he talks about where did the lead come from. So my very first opening question is, hey, thanks for coming in. I'm so glad you made it, something like that. And then how did you hear about the open house? So I want to know what marketing worked. Where is this lead coming from? How did they hear about it? And so usually either they say the signs or whatever it is, but I want to know so I know where my efforts are actually bringing in the business. So I actually put that on every lead, how they heard about the open house. My follow-up question to that is, hey, my name's Arika. So glad you could make it. Just before you walk through, are you a neighbor looking around, or are you looking to buy right now? So I want to know, are they a potential seller or are they a buyer? I want to know what they are so I can talk to them in a personal reference. So I can talk to them on what they're looking for. So I actually did forget before my open house, another preparation that I do is I want to get some good nuggets on what's going around in the market. So I educate myself in some active solds, some active, what's our competition on the market? Because the buyers walking through your open house are potentially walking through other open houses that day too. So what are they walking through? What are they already seeing? Also, what's the neighborhood schools like? What are the restaurants? What's the shopping abilities? Just little nuggets to be able to add to your conversations when people are walking through. I also have, I don't have flyers that I hand out at the open house. So I never print out any flyers. I have an electronic flyer. So when they walk through, hey, how'd you hear about the open house? Also, are you a neighbor popping in the open house, or are you out looking at homes? So then I find out, are they a potential seller or a buyer? And then, cool, that's great. I find that information out. Let me grab your name. Let me sign you in real quick. I'll send you over my electronic flyer. It has good details about the schools, the surrounding areas, and shopping, restaurants, and potential other listings you might be interested in. So let me grab your information. What's your name? Grab their name. I never have them sign in by themselves because it's super easy for somebody to, for them to lie about their name or mistype or write down the wrong phone number or write down the wrong email address. But when they're telling it to you, it's a lot harder. So, hey, let me get you signed into the open house. What's your name? I'll send you my electronic flyer. Can I get your email? So I have them get my email or their email, and I repeat it back. Hey, just in case that email doesn't make it, can I get your phone number so I can follow up with you and make sure that email made it safely? So I get their phone number, and instead of me repeating their phone number back, I have them repeat it back to me to make sure I got it right. So it's really, if they're faking their phone number, it's really hard to repeat the wrong or the same phone number back. So that's kind of a nugget that I got from Chris as well, is first of all, take their information, don't have them put it in themselves, and have them repeat their phone number back to you. Anyways, that's super helpful. Let's see. as they walk through, I don't follow them through. I say, hey, go ahead, take a look. When questions come up, let me know. And I'm just going to be here, but feel free to look around and let me know what questions come up. I'm kind of trying to give them their space as they walk through the open house, but I'm also checking in every so often. So every time they pass over me, I'm, hey, what do you think? Any feedback? Any questions that have come up? Questions like that, or things like that. Also, sometimes I usually try to ask a couple questions about them. Have you guys been looking for long? I do ask them if they have an agent. And if they have an agent, cool, great. I would love to touch base with your agent. What's your agent's name? So usually, if they, some buyers will say that they have an agent because they don't want like you to bother them or whatever their excuse is. But if you ask for their agent's name so you can follow up with their agent, you'll find out real quick if they really do have a good relationship with their agent or if they are working with an agent. So that's another little nugget, is just ask for their agent's name. And I actually do follow up with their agent if they've gone through, because I want to try to capture that lead, even um, if it's not a potential buyer that I can take over. So let's see, what am I missing as far as that goes? So that's basically how my open house goes. I don't really do much else in the open house. So I'll talk about my flyer. My online flyer is pretty simple. So it's usually an email. It's not really a flyer. It's an email that has some of the other active solds. It basically says, hey, thanks for coming to my open house. I create this this email before I even start my open house, so it's easy to just send it right over. Hey, thanks for coming to my open house. Here's some stats on the neighborhood. Here's some of the local schools, some of the private schools. Here's some restaurants in the area that are well known. Also, if this home didn't fit your needs, here's a couple of others that I could take you through. So that's what the follow-up email is going to include. Just a couple little nuggets to add some value to their home buying process. And again, it shows you are the market professional that they can trust and ask the questions to. So you're adding value to their home buying process. Creating that relationship of trust is super important, especially with somebody that just barely met you. So add value to the people that are coming through your open house. They'll want to work with you. And so that's my first follow-up. My second follow-up, and this is the same day. So this is after the open house, same day. Second follow-up is a text. Hey, thanks for stopping by my open house. As promised, I sent you over an email. You should get that in your email box. Please check the spam if your spam folder, if you don't see it. Sometimes my emails go to spam. By the way, have any questions come up since you've been through? So that's a text. And then the next morning so then they go on basically, I call it the, um, 15 days of pain. So I'm trying to get a hold of them by email, text, or phone call for 15 days after the open house. And if I can't get a hold of them after the 15 days, then I put them in a watch plan, and they're getting an email from me every month with market alerts. So I just put them on basically random homes that are kind of in that price range that kind of fit, and they're getting that every month with market alerts. But my follow-up plan with the 15 days of pain is to essentially, I either want them to answer the phone and be like, dang, you're so persistent. You've tried to get a hold of me every single day and you're so persistent. I want to work with you. Or they say, holy hell, you're so annoying. Leave me alone. So that's the response I'm looking for. Either one of them, just fine. But I want them to know that I'm here ready to help and ready to work for them. So that is my follow-up plan after the open house. Any questions so far?
Giovanna is wondering if you could send us an idea of how the email looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll send you, do we have, like, can you send me their email, or maybe you guys can just comment on your email and I'll copy it and I'll send you over what my email looks like for my follow-up emails.
If you just message Lori or Terry and give it to them, or you can send it to the
Actually,
coach email, then that would work.
I'm putting my phone number in the chat box. If you text me over your email, I will email you over what that email looks like. Does that work? Okay, cool. And I got yours too. I will put that. Cool. Let me copy this. Okay. Cool. Any other questions that you guys can kind of think of? I have some other nuggets that I want to go through. Oh, perfect. I got your text too. Is it Giovanna? Is that how you say your name? Giovanna. That's a cool name.
Yes, Giovanna.
Cool. How long have you been in the business?
So I got my license 3 months ago, but
Awesome.
I was like taking the classes for the Supra key, and then I don't really have to work with real estate. So I have to say I have like 2 weeks working
Okay,
in that.
cool. Cool.
But I'm doing open house for everybody
Good.
and working on my social media. Also, I'm here at the office. I'm gonna print the flyers, the 50 flyers, and I'm gonna, because I have an open house tomorrow around 4:30.
Cool.
We wanna try to do that Friday to see how it works.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Good. Let me know how that works. Um like I said, so I have a pretty young family and kind of small family. So I'm the oldest, and when I got into real estate, it was all new. Nobody in my family was in real estate. I started with a small town broker, and then in a year into real estate, decided to switch over to Keller Williams. But I will say, I didn't get a single deal from any family or friends until 3 years into real estate. All of my production came from open houses, cold calling, and door knocking. So if you like, it can be done, and building a great business out of open houses that's your low hanging fruit. Like I said, you're not going to find people that are actively looking in the market anywhere else other than just hitting the open houses. So if you can be dedicated and consistent in that, you'll be able to build a really good, productive business. And when your family and friends see you actively in the market, when you're posting it on your social media pages, then they're going to know that you are doing business. They'll start believing in that, and they'll start sending you business. For me, I had to prove my worthiness with my database and my family and friends before they decided to send me the business, and they decided to send me referrals. I was still calling them, letting them know, hey, I'm in real estate. Who do you know looking to make a move that I can help? But that I guess faith in the fact that I could actually do real estate didn't come until they saw me actively doing it and closing deals and being successful in it. So that's when I finally started getting the referrals from my database and getting all of that, showing forward. So it can be done. You don't have to know anybody to get in the business. You don't have to have all of these family and friends that believe in you, that send you business. You can get it done and get into the business just by getting in the trenches and getting it done. So anyways, just a little insight, but I will say, so the first year I closed, my first year in real estate, I was in a small town broker. I was kind of fed to the wolves, figure it out on your own. Don't ask anybody for questions because they're your competition. So that was the mindset of the brokerage I started with. And so I was like, okay, I'll just figure it out. And I did close 8 deals my first year. And then my second year, I decided to join Keller Williams, and I went to family reunion. And I will say, as a beginning agent, it's really easy to get caught up in the weeds of getting your website built and getting your marketing built and your for sale signs. When I switched over to Keller Williams, I had a listing coming up in a week, and I didn't even have a for sale sign printed before that listing was coming up. So I always say, forget about all of the little nuances of the business. Forget about having everything perfect before you get out and just start making business happen. When the business comes, you'll figure out how to make all of the little stuff work. Don't get caught up in being busy making sure everything's perfect before you get into production. Make the production happen, and all the little stuff works itself out. You'll figure it out. So anyways, that's kind of one of the things that I feel like a lot of new agents get stuck on, all the little stuff. And I definitely did in the first, when I was in the small brokerage. And then when I switched to Keller Williams, I was like, I've got a listing coming up in a week, and I don't even have I don't even have any open house signs, let alone a listing sign to put in the yard. So you'll figure it out. It works out. But anyways, I kind of ran through everything super fast. So if you guys don't really have any other questions, I don't have a whole lot of other stuff to go over, really.
How do you pronounce your name?
It's Arika. So it's just spelled funky, but it's Arika.
Arika. Okay.
Yep.
What about if you knock the door and nobody open the door?
Yeah. So when I knock on the door, my flyer has obviously my contact information, a few little nuggets about the house, and don't stress too much about this part, but the QR code sends them to, I know Keller Williams has their own website that they can create for you. My QR code sends them to my website, which they can either look up a home valuation, they can look at the home with a couple pictures, but then it causes them to log in. So I have my website lets them get a little bit of nuggets out of it, but then after they've clicked on so many pictures, they do have to log in. So I still leave my flyer at every single door that I knock, but they still can get a hold of that flyer and get some more information with that QR code. Another strategy that I've learned too is when you knock on a door, so knock on the door and then take a couple steps back. So don't be like right up on front and in their face. It just kind of gives a more relaxed feeling if you just take a step back, even just down on the first, the next step. But yeah. Hey, my name is Erica. I just listed a home right around the corner from you. I'm contacting you because I wanted to first let you be the first to know that this home's on the market and I want you to be in the know of what's going on in the neighborhood. And by the way, it's a great time to pick your neighbor. Who do you know looking to make a move that I can tell about this house? So that's the script. Super easy, right to the point. And then the next one is great. Hey, how long until, or what, the next one is awesome. When do you plan on making a move? So that's the next question I ask. Cool. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, you guys have my phone number, so please reach out to me. It's a little bit of a short meeting, but I feel like I got through some of the good nuggets of what I do in my open houses. Hopefully you guys can apply some of this to your business. It doesn't take much to get started. So yeah, don't be afraid. By the way, I do have a listing that if anyone's looking to pick up an open house this weekend, I do have a listing right here in West Jordan that's in the first time home buyer price range. That's also another thing. I try to be selective on what price ranges I do my open houses in. So choose the market that you want to work in. For me, I wanted to specialize in first time home buyers. And so I wanted to pick price ranges in first time home buyer price ranges. I felt like first time home buyers were going to be the most likely to not have agents or really know what's going on or how to start looking for homes. So, and I felt like that was going to give the most amount of traffic as well. So I was selective in staying in a first time home buyer price range. I also wanted to stay kind of local. And so I did it in specific neighborhoods. The best way I got my open houses, obviously use the KW South Valley Facebook page if you're looking for them. But I also made a listing alert on the MLS that it actually had like this was before the now you can only do open houses for agents in our office, but I had it for any Keller Williams agent that listed a home. I would get an alert for it, and I would immediately, I had a pre-drafted text that said, hey, I just saw your listing that came up on this street. I would love to host an open house for you, and this is everything that I offer with my open houses. I want to drive more traffic into your listing and hopefully bring in a buyer for you. Is this something that your sellers would be open to in having me list or host an open house for you? So I am reaching out to the agents that just barely listed their listing on the market and letting them know all the things that I'm offering and adding value to those agents. So networking, you'll come to find networking is huge in our business. And if you can gain good friends as agents and let them know that you're going to work hard to sell their listing, they're going to look at you and want to do business with you too. So that's a good way to network with other agents. So cool. Okay, well, you guys have my number. If you have any questions, I will send, and also if you want that email, I will send out that email to you. But if you want to host an open house, I've got one here in West Jordan. It's a townhome for $395, first time home buyer price range. So let me know.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Erica. We really appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks, guys.